I do want to say in this video that I've already made, I need to go back and redo this and add it to the front. But if you're here to see any rabbits, you will not see rabbits in this video. This video is meant for a informational and helpful video for someone that needs to find a rabbit show or know how to find rabbit shows and fill out the entry forms and or comment cards. Okay, so for about 2 weeks now I've been promising you guys a video on how to find a rabbit show, basically. We're talking about not the county level type 4-H rabbit shows. I'm talking about like state or national level shows where you go that are ARBA sanctioned type shows. There's two ways to really find them. Through the state you're wanting to go to, you can go to do a search on, say, whatever state, Utah Rabbit Breeders Association or something like that. Find the actual state rabbit club, and then they should have their shows listed there. Not all of them are very well kept up to date, not near as much as the ARBA site. If you go to the ARBA site, you can find you should be able to find every single show that is sanctioned. So if your club that you're wanting to go to or the show you want to go to is sanctioned by the ARBA, then they have to go through and pay their sanction fees and everything, and the ARBA will list them. So here we are on the American Rabbit Breeders Association, ARBA.net. This is the home page. What you want to do is right up here, you want to look through here and go to Members Resources. Member Resources. The second one down is Shows. Go over one, that's Show Search. Click Show Search. Go click the state you want to find the show in, or shows. If you're like me, you list out all of them pretty much for the year. I'm just going to randomly pick Georgia here because I've already clicked on it. And then you go over here and you hit Search Show Listing. Now it's going to give you all the shows listed for the year so far, and it's only through March for them. I know that camera is not wanting to quite focus there. Anyway, if you look right here at the first one, 221 of 15, there's 4 of them here. They're all the same. There's an open, a youth, and an open. What that means is a double open, so there's 2 opens and there's 2 youth. Double open, double youth show on February 21st. Then you'll have your secretary's info and your secretary's contact info if they didn't have this over here. It's the newest one. It should have the catalog posted. When you click catalog, you will pop up the catalog for that show. This is that show we just looked at, and it'll give you all the information that you need to know as far as where it's at, what judges will be there, what time the show starts, what breeds are sanctioned. Here you see in the open, New Zealand's are sanctioned, in the youth they are not. So for open class, you'd be sanctioned. Sanctioned for that really just means for points. Everything's still showable, and you should still show all breeds that are recognized in the ARBA, but to get the points, if you're into the points, then that's what sanctions are for. And it shows you how much it's going to cost, and per show, per rabbit, any awards they might get, who's there to provide supplies, hotels, the show's actual rules, which are pretty much the same everywhere you go. And then you get down, and some catalogs have like all the national breed clubs. I'm just scrolling through here. You don't need to see all that, but anyway, that's how you'd find that show. If we wanted to go to this show, we'd fill out a entry form for that show. This show specifically says that it requires call-in or mail-in or email entry for show. There's 2 types of entry for a show. There is pre-entry, which this show is, and there's day of entry. Most shows around here are day of entry shows in where I go, and unless they're large shows, then you pre-enter them. But most of your average weekend shows are day of entry shows. And what we'll do now is look at the entry form for a show. These are just generic entry forms that I've made and I use for myself. Obviously I didn't put my name and address and everything in there, but it's just a generic entry form. Let's see here. Alright. Try to help all the secretaries in the whole country out with this video. That's what we'll do. Alright, you got a show A and show B. If there's two shows, if it's a single show, you just mark in show A. If you're only going to go to one show, then you just go mark show A or whatever, if you have to leave early. We have your name, then your open or youth. You want to check mark it. If you're a youth that's showing, you want to mark it as youth. If you're open, that means adult basically. Then you have your address, your phone number, the city you live, the state you live, your zip code, and your email address. All those are very important to every show secretary out there. If they have any questions, they can get a hold of you. You need to fill this out. So many people do not fill this out, and I can't stress how much they need you to fill that out, especially your email, ways to get a hold of you, your address. That's where they're going to mail your legs to. It's so important. You want to talk about points? If you're into points or you get into points, like national points, then you want to make sure your name is always the same. Myself, I use myself and my wife's name every time. That way my points are always applied to that name. If I change my name on one entry form, those points will go to just that one name, and it'll separate any points. When you're filling out for the rabbits, you need to fill it out. I would fill your breeds out alphabetically. I usually only show New Zealand, so I don't have to worry about the breed part. But as they show, New Zealand they show by variety in alphabetical order. So that's blacks, brokens, reds, then whites. When the blues get in, it'll be blacks, blues, broken, red, white. If and when that happens, but you get my point. They'll go in alphabetically. Now brokens can be broken black or broken red, or broken blue when the blues are approved. So you always want to do that variety first. It's easier for the secretary to get everything in order, and it makes things go smoother. When they show, they're shown by variety, alphabetically, and then they're shown by senior buck, senior doe, intermediate buck, intermediate doe, junior buck, junior doe. If you don't have intermediates because you're a 4-class animal, then you don't have to worry about the intermediates. It's senior buck, senior doe, junior buck, junior doe. But it goes in that order, bucks before does in that class, age class. For example, for here we have the New Zealand broken class. I've got a senior buck, a senior doe. I don't have an intermediate buck, so I have an intermediate doe, and then I would go on to my junior buck. If you're looking at red here, I have a senior doe, no senior buck, so I have a senior doe. And then in the intermediates, I have one of each, so I list my buck first, then my doe, and then in the juniors I only have a doe, so I list the doe. In whites I have a senior buck and a junior buck, so they're in order. It's pretty self-explanatory. But I want to emphasize that you want to keep that in order. Varieties in order, then the class in order. Don't go up and down and all around, because when secretaries entering all this stuff, you really make their life a lot harder. Or just a pain they don't need. And then you can see over here I have shows A and B marked, and I'm just saying, for instance, if each show is $3, each rabbit would be $6. So you have $6 per rabbit for that show that day. Now this is a pre-entry, or not a pre-entry, a day of entry. If it's pre-entry, you basically fill this out, mail it in, whatever. Pre-entry, I like to have this, or day of entry, I like to have this done the night before. And when I get to the show, I just hand them this, and I hand them my comment cards if they have comment cards. I like to hand that stuff out right away, and I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about waiting in line or anything and filling it out or remembering. I have all that stuff squared away, and because there's a lot of people that wait to the last minute to do it, and you know, that does make a log jam. So at the bottom of my entry, I have the total, which would be $60 because it's $6 per rabbit. 10 rabbits are going. And then I have the sponsoring club, whatever the rabbit club name is, the show's location, whatever town in that state, and then the secretary's name, and then the date of the show. And that would be all you'd need to fill out to enter a pre-entry show. On day of entry you'd have this, and most places that have day of entry also have what are called comment cards, which by size of paper you can see it's much different. And we'll just look at the comment card here. What I like to do is I like to use my Evans rabbit pedigree, and hold on, I got something on my screen there. My Evans rabbit pedigree system, whatever you want to call it. And what I do is I go and click every rabbit that's going to the show, and then I can go up and click print up in the top. If anyone has it, you can look at this. And then I go to entry labels for comment card labels is what it is. And since I clicked all the rabbits, I click that out, and it asks me, like, it'll ask me the secretary's name, location, date, all that stuff, and it'll automatically fill it out. And what it does is it prints it on the 1-inch mailing labels, like Avery mailing labels. There's 30 on a page, and it'll print 2 for each show. That way you can put one on the front page and one on the carbon copy of the back here. So you can see there's white on top, and then there's yellow on the back. And you'd want to put 2 for each one. That way you can see it, because you're not writing on it and it wouldn't push through, and you wouldn't have your name on the yellow copy. What a writer does next to the judge is he or she listens to what the judge has to say, and he places them in the number in the class and what position they got and how many exhibitors, all that stuff. He writes all that down, and then he tears the white copy off, goes back to the secretary, and then the yellow copy will be set off to the side, and you're to pick that up for your own copy of it, of what the judge had to say or what the writer could remember that the judge had to say. But whenever I print mine off, that label goes up here. It covers everything. It has the exhibitor name, it'll have the address, it'll have the show, the date of the show, it'll have the breed, New Zealand, it'll have the variety, red, it'll have buck or doe, senior, 6'8", junior. The pre-juniors for some places will show pre-juniors, friars, meat pens, and fur classes, if that's what you're entering. That's all stuff I don't do. Number and class, that's what place you got. Number in class is how many's in the class. Award is what place you got, number of exhibitors in that class, and then you get best of breed, best opposite sex, best of group, best opposite sex group, best of variety, best opposite sex variety. Then you can even break it down to best senior, best 6'8", best junior, best pre-junior, if some shows do that. And then the little boxes down here are simply just what the writer checks, and the judge says good head and ears, so they'll check the G, and so on and so forth. And then at the bottom they should have the judge's signature or stamp or something like that. So you have to go and fill those out, and you fill one out for each rabbit per show. So if you're doing both shows, you have to fill 2 of these out for the rabbits. At the top I like to put an O at the top left for open, and right here I'll put A or B show, and I keep all my A shows together and all my B shows together, same rabbits in each show. But my label prints out open on it, but I still like to put it up here, put a O right there and A or a B right here. I like to do that anyway, because it's easier for them to see whenever they're sorting the cards if they get mixed up. That's pretty much everything. So whenever you go to day of entry, you're going to want to have this filled out, and you can have these filled out. You can fill them out there too, and if you don't have them, you can purchase these from any rabbit supplier, or usually the shows provide them. So if you need to, you can just go in and get however many you need at the beginning, before the show starts that morning. Grab these cards, however many you need, fill them out, or you can bring the labels like I have and put the stickers on, which is much easier, much faster. So that is everything. Comment cards, entry form, and how to find a rabbit show. So I hope that was informative to anyone that doesn't know, and I hope that it can help you out. Sorry if it was boring and there's no rabbits to see. But that is how some people don't know and they want to get into showing, and this would have helped me a lot to figure it out right away instead of having to ask people. So I hope it helps out, and thanks a lot.